Welcome to Wine Time Mysteries, where we talk about true crime, the paranormal, mysteries, and cryptozoology with a dash of comedy. This podcast contains adult themes and is intended for mature audiences only. Don't forget to click follow and tickle that little notification bell. Now, find a comfy spot. We're about to start today's episode.
Welcome back, dear mung beans.
Welcome back!
My case this week is on the Gruchy murders.
Ooh.
On the 12th of March, 1996, a family of 5 were getting ready to settle in for the night. They lived in a quiet suburb called Albion Park Rail, situated in Shell Harbour, New South Wales, Australia.
Fuck yeah.
Are you surprised? Wayne Gruchy, also known as Gruchy Sr., called his wife Jennifer sometime between 6 and 6:30 p.m. as he had attended a company golf day at Pennant Hills Golf Club and decided that he would stay at his parents' house that night. This was not something out of the ordinary, as due to his work location, he would often stay with his parents so that he didn't have to travel over an hour and a half to work. In my mind, I'm like, get another job. Okay. The couple had 3 children, 13-year-old Sarah, 15-year-old Adrian, and 18-year-old Matthew. At around 7 p.m, Matthew received a phone call from his grandmother and spoke to her for a little bit before handing the phone over to his mother. By around 8 p.m, he phoned his girlfriend to let her know he would be over shortly to stay the night. Apparently, Matthew didn't arrive at his girlfriend's house until around 11 p.m, which was way later than she was expecting. She had tried to phone the home at around 10:30 to be like, hey, where the fuck are you? But kept receiving an engaged signal. So she went to bed thinking he wasn't going to show. When she questioned him why he was late, Matthew stated that
my mum was having prank calls and asked me to stay.
Likely story. The following morning, Matthew returned home, going to the kitchen/dining area and putting down his overnight bag. No one seemed to be home/up, so he went back to his mother's car, which he usually drove, and went to a supermarket to purchase some cigarettes. It would be this time, in coming back home, that he would discover something extremely horrific. Running outside to a neighbour's house, Matthew was seen to be crying and started screaming, "There's something wrong with Mum and Sarah." The neighbour went over to the Gruchy home, where he found Mrs. Gruchy dead in her bed with a towel covering her face. Leaving the house, he alerted emergency services before running back into the house where he found Sarah's body. Matthew was noted as being very distressed and was laying down sobbing outside of his neighbour's house. An ambulance would then later take Matthew up to the hospital to be checked over as well. First responding officers would not be prepared for the crime scene they were about to witness, with one even leaving the force shortly after. I can't even imagine that, hey? Being a police officer and walking into like a crime scene.
I think it would be too traumatic. I couldn't do it.
I think I'd throw up or pass out.
Yeah, or both.
Both, and probably piss myself and shit myself.
You'd throw up and then you'd pass out into your vomit when you wake up and poo your pants.
I think I would. I really do. The attacks were described as horrific and distressing and resembling that of a crash scene. 41-year-old Jennifer was found laying in her bed with the blankets half pulled over her. Her reading glasses were on the bedside table, and it was thought she was attacked while she was sleeping. Officers stated that there was not a large amount of blood splatter in the room, which was odd given the state of her injuries, and they thought something may have been placed over her head during the attack. A post-mortem revealed a very severe fracture between the eyes, lacerations in conjunction with skull fracturing on the left forehead, fractures of the cheekbones, and extensive underlying brain trauma, along with a number of abrasions and bruises. These injuries appeared to be caused from a wheel brace or a sledgehammer. 13-year-old Sarah was found laying in her bed with her Walkman nearby. It is thought she was listening to music in bed and possibly awake when it happened and when her mother was attacked. Small amounts of blood were found on the walls, the same as Jennifer's, so it's thought that something was also put over her head at the time of the attack. Post-mortem examination found 10 injuries to her head and neck, mainly to the right side. There was marked skull fracturing of the forehead and of the right side and base of the skull, as well as extensive lacerations, abrasions, and bruising. On her right arm were 3 bruises, including 1 tram track bruise, which is consistent by being struck with a tire lever. She did have some defense-type injuries to her right arm as well.
Perimortem injuries.
15-year-old Adrian was found in the garage. It was said he appeared to be working in the garage and possibly repairing a chair when he was attacked from behind. There was blood also found on the ceiling of the garage, which is thought to have been from the weapon that was used from the quick motions of raising it up and down and smashing it to the victim. Adrian had approximately 21 injuries to the head and neck. He had a grossly fractured face and base of the skull, along with numerous lacerations to the back of the head, right forehead and mouth, as well as fractures to the cheekbones and jawbones. There were 6 injuries to the torso, including some linear bruises to the chest. The head injuries were very similar to those of his mother and sister, and it's believed the same weapon was used for all 3. The skin on his arms were also peeling due to petrol being poured on the body. The time of death for the bodies appeared to be between 8 p.m. on March 12th and 1 a.m. March 13. The police conducted a full search of the house and noticed some unusual things. In Jennifer's room, a large portion of the carpet had been cut and removed from beside the bed. And I'm talking like big old section of the carpet, yes. They also found 2 small portions of carpet that had been removed near the base of the bed and near the doorway. This was unusual as the house was pretty new and Wayne had actually hired a carpet cleaner on the 9th of March and stated he had not noticed any damage to the carpet that day. In the hallway, officers used a pie light which showed patches of reddish coloured stains that looked as though they had been cleaned up. Originally thought to be a break and enter, as there were items thrown around the rooms and some items had been stolen, including a video recorder, Game Boy, Sega, calculators. But what was weird was that no valuable items had been stolen in the house.
Well, you also just said calculator, right?
Yeah, like just fucking weird. Who steals a calculator?
Well, no one, because I don't actually believe that anything was really stolen.
Right. Police concluded that it was a staged break and enter.
Yep.
On the money. There appeared to be no external damage to any doors or windows of the house. Jennifer's car was searched and officers noted that inside the boot of the car, or trunk to our American listeners.
Oh yeah, the trunk.
I don't like that. The compartment that would normally contain a jack and wheel brace was slightly ajar, as if someone had opened it. I wonder who.
Dun dun.
The jack was there, however, officers were unable to find the jack handle or wheel brace, which was said to have been supplied when the car was originally sold to the family. Upon further inspection of the car, a small tuft of carpet, just over 1 centimetre in length with a red stain on one end, was found just behind the driver's seat, and it was highly likely that it matched the carpet in Jennifer's bedroom.
I wonder how that got there.
Yeah, I just don't know.
It's so bizarre.
It's how bizarre. How bizarre. During the investigation, Wayne was interviewed by police. However, he had alibis to say he was in Sydney playing golf and then stayed at his parents' house for the night. Next in line for questioning was 18-year-old Matthew. After returning home from the hospital, Matthew made a comment to his girlfriend in regards to the prank calls the family had received the night before, saying that someone had rung and said 3 people in your family would be deceased.
He's so dumb.
Yeah, it's going to annoy you at the end.
It already is. It's so obvious who it is.
Yeah.
It hurts my entire bubble.
I don't know what you're talking about.
It's the girlfriend.
Oh my God, you can't ruin it like that.
Oh, sorry.
Strangely enough, Matthew did not mention that part to police.
Of course he didn't.
So weird.
That's what happens when you make stuff up later. Ugh.
Right? The police would later investigate the phone calls that had been made to the house and couldn't find any attempts of prank calls that had been made.
Gasp. I'm shocked.
I was too. I was like, get out of town.
Yeah.
All the way out.
Like, go to the next town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe the next one before that, you know?
And just don't come back.
Don't come back. Forensics had taken plenty of blood samples that were found throughout the house, and a lot of them were from the deceased. However, blood that was found on the wall behind Jennifer's bed and in the hallway had DNA that matched Matthew.
Not his girlfriend?
Not his girlfriend.
Wow, wow, wow.
Wow, wow, wow.
Escándalo.
Police had originally questioned Matthew's girlfriend as he had slept over her house, and she had previously advised that she did not see any blood on him or his clothes and no apparent injuries to his face or body. She mentioned he also did not seem depressed, anxious, or upset.
If he had somehow made the decision to kill his family, I don't really know how much remorse he would have. Maybe if he killed one of them and then panicked and didn't kill the other ones, then yes, maybe he would.
I think that's what scares me the most, though. To know that someone has committed murder and they just come back like, yeah, nothing's happened. By the 17th of March, police brought Matthew in for questioning. They had asked him about the prank phone calls, if he had ever had any arguments with his mother regarding using her car and the discovery of the bodies. I watched some of the footage and his head was down, hands in his face, like he was talking slow and drawn out, like... You just look at it and you're like, guilty as fuck. But apparently, I think a relative made a comment of like he'd taken sleeping pills or some shit like that. I don't know. Now, during the interview, things just weren't adding up. He claimed he never went into Sarah's bedroom, yet when he called for help, he said there was something wrong with Mum
Sarah, yeah.
and Sarah. But you didn't go in there, so how you know? No. Police had also been informed that he had racked up a fair few miles on his mum's car, causing an argument, and he was no longer able to use it and could only use his father's. Of course, that night his father wasn't home. When police asked Matthew if he had ever had an argument with his mum over the use of her car, he stated, "I wouldn't call it an argument."
No, I crushed her head in.
Yeah. Right. He was released due to lack of evidence, but police were pretty sure they had their murderer. Several weeks after the killing, some teens were riding around a dam at Woonona and found a bag in the dam. In the bag, they found a sheet, a towel wrapped around a small sledgehammer, Sega game cases and control pads, a black purse containing credit cards, papers, Jennifer's license, a light-coloured sock, a pair of scissors, a pair of blue track pants, and a calculator. Another black sports bag was found, which contained 2 shirts, a handkerchief, a videotape recorder, a kitchen knife, a keyring, a pair of binoculars, and some pieces of carpet. A few other items were also found and had been some of the items that were missing from the house. A Ziploc bag was also found and contained some Band-Aid wrappings and a torn-up piece of paper that would later be matched to Matthew's writing.
No way. It was the girlfriend.
So the girlfriend. Do you want to know what was written on the piece of paper? Because even though it was ripped up, they were able to, put the pieces back together.
No way.
I know, that's scandalous. Open gate. Throw bottle down the back. Throw things down wall in roof. Tracksuit pants, 1. Knife, 1. T-shirts, 2. Shoes, 2. Hanky, pole, towel. Open blinds to see through. Sarah, Mum, Adrian. Headbutt mirror, mirror crossed out. Bench, have shower. Throw hi-fi down. I think it was like a speaker because I was like, what the fuck is a hi-fi? Hit arm with pole. Hit leg pole. Cut somewhere with knife. And then written on the back of the paper were just like a series of numbers as well. Not incriminating at all. Like, once they had all that evidence, they wanted to make sure that Matthew had time to murder 3 people, head to the dam, and then to his girlfriend's house, just to kind of match up within that time frame. The police had a few drivers make the run to all 3 locations at different speeds, and did it ever match the window? On the 22nd of June 1996, Matthew was arrested for the murders of his mother, brother and sister. He exercised his right to decline to answer any further questions. During the trial, he was adamant that he did not commit the murders and that it must have been someone else. And his father, uncle and girlfriend gave evidence that he was a gentle and polite person who got on well with his family. Clearly not. The murder weapon was not found, nor did police find out the actual motive as to why he killed his family, and Matthew never admitted to the murders. 14th of October 1998, he was found guilty, and it was noted that when the verdict was made, he had no reaction. He was sentenced to a minimum of 21 years and a maximum of 28. By August 2019, after only serving 23 years, 41-year-old Matthew Gruchy was released from prison.
So 3 lives,
Yeah.
2 of which were minors, were worth 28 years, but were brought down to 23 and some change. In America, do you reckon that would have been 3 life sentences?
Should have been,
25 years?
I think they said it was something to do with around him being a minor. Like, even though he was 18, they made some comment of the minor kind of thing, so I don't know.
He should have been tried as an adult.
Yeah, 100%. So he got out at 41 years old, the same age his mother was when he brutally murdered her. He will remain on strict parole until June 2024. He must attend psychological counselling sessions and refrain from contacting members of the family. He is not allowed to visit Illawarra or Shoalhaven area, which is where he committed the crimes, and he is currently living in Tasmania with his father. Just adding a quick note, his mother would have been 64 at the time of release, Sarah 36 and Adrian 38. And that is the murders of the Gruchy family and the free man that is just living in Tasmania with his father.
What drives people? I guess that's the $1 million question, isn't it? What drives some people to kill their own family? Because it did, from what you said, well, I mean, it didn't really go either way. It didn't sound like it was a bad family. I mean, again, it didn't necessarily sound like it was a good family because there just wasn't a lot there.
Yeah.
In that sense. But what drives someone to do that?
Yeah. Well, police, because even till this day, obviously, he's never admitted. They don't know a motive. They think it's just because he wasn't allowed to use the car to go see his girlfriend. Because he was then driving the car, even though he wasn't allowed to.
Pussy is not an excuse to kill anybody.
And that's horrific. Like, they kind of said...
But all of them?
Yeah.
All 3 of them? And it's premeditated, which is why it also confuses me that he got such small time. But I don't understand a lot about the Australian justice system, so that could be part of my issue. But that's like in the UK. You can commit murder or manslaughter, one of the 2, and you'll get like 6 years.
So, yeah. That's the annoying case of Matthew Gruchy as well, yeah.
Very frustrating.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, goodbye, mung beans.
Bye.
Bye.